Okay, what's going on, guys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. Now, don't worry, I'm going to show you a way to get past this. You're struggling with defending. I'm going to show you how the top tier players use the manual jockey effectively to actually stick along with the player after they've nerfed assisted jockeying. Now, as I said to you, you should not use assisted jockeying because they will nerf it. If you listen to me, you will know what you would have not been this issue in the first place. But now they've patched it. So for those who don't know, there was a glitch basically where you can use assisted jockeying online. Thankfully, due to that publicity stunt that I did as well, it's now being patched. So now the benefit is that everyone's going to be struggling with defending. It's better for you, but you're also going to be struggling with defending. Now the problem is, and it all stems from, and this is my prediction, it all stems with the way people defend. The problem is that people, they defend like this. Now this is very problematic for multiple reasons. I'll explain to you why. This is probably the way that you defend. If you use this, you're stuck at one speed, let's say 20 miles per hour. But if your opponent decides to run away from you, you may try to use the running jockey, but you can't control the speed, either running 100% or you're running 40%. Now, why is this important? Well, if your opponent is using strafe dribbling, or he's using agile dribbling, or he's running, or he's doing a fake shot, they all have different movements, different speeds. See that? You can run very, very fast, and you can't. So your opponent could be running at 20% instead of strafe dribbling. Agile dribbling is like 5%, running is like 60%, so that's why they can speed past you, and that's why you're struggling when you're defending. However, if you use a normal jockey button, you're just running at one static speed the entire time. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is very, very simple. All you have to do literally is hold the run and jockey and use the left analog stick to dictate the pace. So you can see here, if I fully extend the left analog stick, I am now running at 100% of the run and jockey speed. Do you see that? But if I just tap it downwards, I'm now running at 20%. If I go a bit slower, I can sidestep. If I go a bit halfway, I'm running 50%. So do you see, I basically got assisted jockeying, but I'm controlling it manually. Now the problem is, a lot of players, and even my opinion, pro players as well, people keep saying, getting upset when I say this, but I generally think it's true. They use this jockey method. I've never used this button independently for the past 10 years when I played FIFA, ever. I've never used it because it's absolutely irrelevant and absolutely pointless. Because if you're defending, let's say you want to press someone, right? You got to run towards them, then you got to hold the L2 button, you got to press the R2 button, you got to hold the L2 button again. All I do is I just use the run and jockey, especially inside the box. And you see, look how easy this chamber. I'm just pressing the L1 button. I'm never letting go of the run and jockey. I can flick between these guys and run towards them, but that is it. So do you see how easy and seamless it is? And as I said, if someone decides to do agile dribbling or he tries to run past you, if you're using normal jockey, then someone runs past you, you're in trouble. You're not going to catch up, and that is why you're getting beaten every single time in defense. So the key thing is to use, as I mentioned, the L2 plus R2 button and using the left analog stick to dictate the pace. Think of this like almost like a steering wheel and like a accelerator together. So the more pressure you apply, the more so if you fully extend over here, you're running at full speed. But if you just do small incremental or minute movements, you barely move. And that way you control the speed of the jockey compared to if your opponent's running, if you're using agile dribbling, if he's increasing the speed. For those of you that are part of my Patreon series, please do refer to the videos uploaded last week in preparation for this patch. In fact, I got an hour-long video on the jockey method, the legacy method. I've also got the analog spin, which is a different method compared to the one that we went over today, and also of the left stick control method. So it's an hour-long tutorial on dribbling. Of course, I can't upload an hour-long tutorial to YouTube, so that is on my Patreon series, patreon.com/NealGuides for more information and for more guides. If you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money. That is a NealGuides guarantee, but that's just to be ahead of the curve before the issues actually started. But you see, that is the most important thing, and the most important thing people always wonder to me is, does it matter which player you use? It doesn't. People always say to me, oh, does it have to be when you're inside the box? No. Let's say, for example, here, I'm going to draw this for you, but I talk about this more in the video. I'll touch over this lightly now. Let's say you choose, for example, Mbappe, okay? Mbappe. If you hold the run and jockey, you can just control the speed as much as you want. Now, you can move up and down, left and right, as you want to. If you want to stand still, you just hold the L2 and R2 button. So let's say, for example, let's say you're defending inside the box. Let's just imagine that this is the goal. So I'm going to try to draw this out for you to make it a bit easier for you to see. Imagine this is the goal, and that's the goal line. Imagine, say, this zigzag line is the goal. So if you're defending, you just hold the run and jockey. If your opponent decides to run up quickly, you can just run up. If he slows down, then you can slow down. That's it. That's all you do to match speed. If he decides to sidestep to the left, you can hold it for a brief second. You see that? Instead of holding the jockey button and changing between them, look how rigid the movement is. When you jerk from a normal jockey to a running or to a run sprint, look how jerky the motions are. Do you see that? It's very jerky, but you see how smooth it is. You can dictate the pace as much as you want. You can go to the left, you go to the right, or you can do the way that I do it, is I just go like this. I counter strafe. So you can go all the way up, down, all the way up, all the way down, and you see how effective this is to dribble. And sorry, to defend. So if your opponent decides to run into a direction, you have complete control of the situation. I'll make one prediction now, that maybe not the older pro players, but all the newer pro players, all the younger players will definitely evolve into this technique. I've been using this technique for the past 10 years. It's absolutely flawless. I think maybe like 1% of the entire community even use this method, and I think even some pro players don't. But I think generally they will change because the amount of control you do have makes it much easier. And don't forget, assisted jockeying has always been in the game. But this year, manual jockeying has really changed the way defending is. So if you want to be one step ahead of the curve, don't forget, you can use this. Now, you can use the analog sprint button if you want to, but that just gives you too much variables. And as I said, it's better for pressing. So if you're pressing towards your opponent, you can just press the L1 button, and you never have to let go or press many buttons. In fact, you can use the running jockey the entire time. So you don't actually have to. So sometimes when you're pressing, especially if you're in, let's say you're inside the box, right? You could effectively just hold the running jockey and just switch players. Look at that. I'm just basically using my right thumb, and that's it. You see that? There's no other buttons being pressed, because you see us as humans, especially when we're doing this in game, we don't actually, obviously now this is practice, but in a real game, you're in a panic situation, you're in a stressful situation, and you're under pressure, you perform differently. So when you try to use a jockey, then you try to use the run button to apply pressure, then you try to close him down, you don't have that control of the speed. Whereas with this method, you can basically pin someone. If you want to use teammate contain, you can also pin them the exact same way. That is how you pin someone on a very, very high level with teammate contain. And normally teammate contain is the R1 button, but in this example it is circle. But you see how effective it is to use inside the box. But anyway guys, that is just the run and jockey fix. There is the other method. You can use analog sprint. I go through this more in my Patreon series, but you don't really need to know this. But if you want to use it, you can also use the analog sprint button, which is basically the R2 button, and that's basically like a gas pedal. So the more power you apply, the faster the running jockey would be. That's also another way that you can use it. So you can actually control the speed of the running jockey by the amount of ply you press on R2. So obviously if you lock it down all the way, you can go to full speed. If you go to 50%, then you're going to be running at 50% of speed, etc, etc. But don't forget, it only works if your run button is R2, because the R1 button is just a button. The R1 button, don't forget, the R1 is like it's a binary kind of number, either 1 or 0, or on or off. You can't have an incremental value, where the R2 is kind of like a gas pedal in your car, where you can apply different amounts of power. And that is honestly the key to defending. Go into a game, go into practice it. What I'd recommend is we go back to the main menu here. I'll explain to you the best way of practicing this, because it can take some time getting used to, but all you got to do is go to the main menu, go to play, or you can go into kickoff, you go to play, go to skill games, and go to the beginner skill games here. And I just want you to literally here, just use the run and jockey. That's all I want you to do. Use the run and jockey, and don't forget, don't forget when you are defending or when you are attacking, you can use analog sprint on both ends, but this is probably one of the best ways of practicing the run and jockey, just to get the movement and just track the players along. Don't forget, your job is to protect the angle towards goal, not to defend the player. Don't make that mistake. A lot of people, they make the mistake of, if a player moves to the left, you follow with him, but you defend the angle towards goal. You don't try to push into him, because if you push into an opponent, that's how he will take a touch away. But I can promise you one thing, you learn this defending, you're going to be completely sorted. And that's why I've been teaching this way to defend for my entirety of the time, because it's definitely the way forward. But that is, of course, the running jockey defending video. Don't forget, you want to see more information on different segments. It's on my Patreon series, patreon.com/NealGuides. Link is down below in the description. Of course, got other videos. We've got an episode from all the way from Division 10 all the way to Elite Division. We're going to be finishing that series off as well, because the patch has now come out. So I wanted to play that last couple of episodes in the Elite Division and Division 1 after the patch. And of course, I've got other videos like set pieces, how to take free kicks, attack patterns, all the defending tips and tricks in a sequential format for you to get better in the game. And I say you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money. That is a NealGuides guarantee. But anyway, guys, that is how to use the run and jockey, the new form method, the new pro method, I'll probably say. I'll make that prediction now. Make sure you stay ahead of the curve. And if you don't want to use it, you can use the old legacy jockey method as well. But of course, understand the limitations. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Take it easy. And of course, I'll catch you next time. Peace out.